You know, people often think those who sleep a lot are lazy. They assume it's about comfort, about wasting time, about escaping responsibility. But what if it's not that simple? What if behind every long nap, every late morning and every quiet afternoon in bed, there's a story that no one else sees? Sometimes the ones who sleep a lot aren't tired because of their body, they're tired because of life. When the world feels too loud, sleep becomes a place of silence. When the heart feels heavy, dreams become the only space light enough to breathe in. You see, the mind has its own ways of protecting itself. When pain becomes too much to carry awake, it lets you rest, even when you think you shouldn't. For some, sleep isn't just rest, it's recovery. It's the one moment where the weight of their thoughts disappears. It's like stepping out of the storm for a little while, just to catch a breath. Because sometimes the mind says, enough, even when you're trying to keep going. When sadness stretches too long, when anxiety keeps whispering what ifs, when hope feels like a distant light, sleep becomes a quiet refuge. It's not weakness, it's the body's language for healing. Yet in a world that glorifies constant motion, people forget that rest is also strength. We're taught to keep moving, to keep grinding, to measure our worth by our productivity. But what about peace? What about stillness? Nobody teaches us that sometimes stopping is the bravest thing you can do. Think about it. We live in a society that's addicted to speed. Fast success, fast decisions, fast lives. And when someone chooses to slow down, to breathe, to rest, they're called unmotivated. But the truth is, sometimes the ones who seem the most still are the ones fighting the hardest battles inside. Depression doesn't always look like tears. Sometimes it looks like long hours of sleep. Anxiety doesn't always show up as panic. Sometimes it hides beneath a blanket. A man who sleeps too much might not be running from work. He might be running from thoughts that won't stop spinning in his head. A woman who sleeps all day might not be avoiding people. She might be avoiding the pain she doesn't know how to name. But here's the thing, while sleep can heal, it can also hide. There's a fine line between resting and escaping, between letting go and giving up. You may think you're just tired, but sometimes you're tired of feeling. You wake up and realize the world hasn't changed, so you close your eyes again, hoping maybe it'll feel different the next time. Yet, deep down, your heart knows that healing doesn't happen in the dark. It happens when you face the light again, slowly, gently, one morning at a time. Because rest is meant to prepare you for life, not protect you from it forever. Maybe you've been there, sleeping more than usual, waking up feeling the same, wondering what's wrong with you. Maybe you tell yourself you'll do better tomorrow, you'll get up early, you'll start fresh. But when morning comes, you can't move. The world outside feels too heavy, and your mind whispers, just a few more minutes. Then hours pass and guilt begins to build. You look at your phone, at the time, at yourself, and you wonder why you can't be like everyone else. Listen carefully. Nothing is wrong with you. You're not broken. You're just exhausted. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You've been carrying more than your fair share, and your body finally said, rest. You see, sleep isn't just about the body, it's also about the heart. When you lose passion, when your dreams start to fade, when the noise of life drowns out your voice, sleep becomes a quiet reset button. It's your soul saying, give me time. But time alone doesn't fix everything. Because even after the longest sleep, the sun still rises, waiting for you to wake up not just from your dreams, but into your life again. You start noticing small things. The soft light through the curtains, the sound of the world slowly moving, the feeling of breath filling your chest. And that's where it begins, not with energy, not with motivation, but with awareness. That quiet whisper inside that says, I want to feel alive again. It's okay if it takes time. It's okay if you're not there yet. Healing doesn't happen in a day. But understand this, sleeping a lot doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. It means you've felt too deeply, thought too much, cared too long. It means your soul is still processing, still trying to make sense of the weight you've been carrying. So don't hate yourself for it. Don't rush yourself out of it. Forgive yourself for every morning you didn't rise, for every plan you didn't finish, for every day you chose to hide. Because healing never looks productive. It looks quiet. It looks like stillness. It looks like you, trying, softly, silently. But remember this too. Sleep is a bridge, not a destination. It's where you rest before you cross back into the world. Don't let it become the place you stay. The world still needs your light, your voice, your presence. You were never meant to dream your whole life away. You were meant to wake up and live it. The strength you're looking for isn't gone. It's just resting beneath the layers of tiredness. And soon, when you're ready, you'll feel it again. That gentle pull, that quiet courage that says, enough sleep, it's time to rise. When you finally decide to rise, it doesn't happen like lightning. It's not dramatic or loud. It's quiet, slow, almost hesitant, like the first few seconds of dawn after a long night. You open your eyes, and everything feels the same, yet something inside you has shifted just a little. You start to see that rest wasn't your enemy. It was your teacher. It taught you patience. It taught you gentleness. It reminded you of something the world always forgets, that healing doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like doing nothing and letting time soften the edges of your pain. But now, it's time to take what you've learned in that silence and carry it back into the light. Because deep inside, you know you were never meant to live half awake. There's a fire in you, buried under the weight of exhaustion, waiting to burn again. It doesn't roar all at once. It flickers. It breathes slowly. It begins with small things, getting out of bed, washing your face, opening the window, letting sunlight touch your skin. You realize how strange and beautiful it feels to be alive again. The world hasn't changed, but your eyes have. And in that simple act of rising, you're already stronger than you think. Because real strength isn't about never falling asleep. It's about finding the courage to wake up again and again, no matter how many times you've drifted away. There's psychology in that too. People who sleep a lot often carry emotions too deep for words. Their mind runs marathons even when their body lies still. Each dream becomes a language for what they can't express out loud. Fear, loss, guilt, loneliness, all wrapped in quiet imagery. The longer they sleep, the more the subconscious tries to sort through the clutter to make peace with what the waking self refuses to face. That's why long sleep feels both peaceful and heavy at the same time. It's your mind doing repairs. It's you rebuilding from the inside out. But once that work is done, it starts calling you back. That's when you begin to feel restless again. Not from fatigue, but from the need to live. That's your soul saying, I'm ready. You start noticing how your mind begins to crave meaning again. The silence that once comforted you now starts to itch. The same bed that once protected you now feels too small. You want air, movement, sound, people. You want to feel again, joy, pain, laughter, anything but numbness. That's how awakening happens. It doesn't announce itself. It just arrives quietly and asks, "Are you ready to start again?" And you are. Not completely, not perfectly, but enough. Enough to put one foot in front of the other. Enough to let the sun in through the cracks. Enough to believe that maybe this time you'll stay awake for good. And when you step back into life, something changes in how you see others too. You begin to understand people differently. You stop judging so quickly. You start noticing how tired everyone looks beneath their smiles. You see how the strong ones are often the most wounded, how the funny ones sometimes hide their sadness behind laughter, and how the quiet ones have stories deeper than oceans. You realize how many people are walking around half asleep, not because they sleep too much, but because they've forgotten what truly matters. Suddenly you stop wanting to compete. You stop needing to prove yourself. You just want to feel peace. Because after all that sleep, all that silence, you've learned that peace is the only thing worth waking up for. Life slowly begins to move again. You start setting small goals, not to impress anyone, but to remind yourself that you can. You stop chasing the world and start listening to yourself. You find comfort in simple things. A walk outside, a meal you actually enjoy, a song that hits differently because it feels like it understands you. You stop hating the days you once slept through. You start realizing that those days weren't wasted. They were part of your becoming. The rest you took wasn't lost time. It was time that saved you. It gave you back your balance, your clarity, your soul. And one day, without even noticing, you stop sleeping to escape. You start sleeping to recover, to dream again, to refuel your body for the life you're now choosing to live awake. You wake up not because you have to, but because you want to. And that's when you understand the true psychology behind people who sleep a lot isn't about laziness. It's about longing. It's about hearts that feel too much and minds that need shelter. It's about souls that get tired of pretending to be okay. And once they find peace, they rise with a strength that others can't see. A quiet, unshakable strength born from rest. Maybe that's you. Maybe you've slept through some seasons of your life, missed some moments, lost some time. But that doesn't mean your story is over. It means you are gathering energy for your next chapter. You are resting for the climb ahead. So stop blaming yourself for the pause. Every great journey needs one. What matters is that you wake up, not just physically but emotionally. Wake up to the beauty still waiting for you, to the people who still care, to the dreams that still live inside you. The world is still out there, patient, waiting for your return. And when you finally rise, truly rise, it won't just be from your bed. It'll be from everything that once held you down. You'll look back at those long days of sleep and realize they weren't a sign of weakness. They were your rebirth. You were learning to rest, to listen, to heal, to rebuild yourself in silence. You were preparing to come back stronger, wiser, softer. So don't regret your sleep. Don't feel guilty for the time it took. Because the man who wakes up after losing himself to exhaustion doesn't just wake up. He rises as someone new. So here's the truth. Sleeping a lot doesn't define you. What defines you is what you do after. How you stand back up. How you rediscover your fire. How you take every dream you once hid in your sleep and turn it into something real. That's the psychology of it all. Rest isn't the end, it's the reset. Sleep when you must, but don't live there. The world needs the version of you that's awake. The one who feels, who creates, who loves, who dares again. Because no matter how long you've slept, the moment you open your eyes and decide to try again, that's when the story begins.